change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
The WNBA is in trouble. They're losing millions of dollars after Caitlin Clark's injury, and now they're
passing season as well. Her assist numbers. Oh no, Caitlin Clark has yet. So Ryan Howard picks up the foul. Pressure she had on her shoulders coming into the ankle one more time, right? That's rookie seasons and WNBA.
But do you think a simple suspension is enough? Or should these referees be fired on the spot? Share your thoughts in the comments. Now, let's get into the real story. What was supposed to be just another routine matchup between the Indiana Fever and the New York Liberty went horribly wrong. The league is now scrambling to contain the fallout. Caitlin Clark, the player who single-handedly reignited national interest in the WNBA, went down with what the Fever later confirmed as a left quadriceps strain.
So far by the team is that this is actually an injury that was separate from the quad tightness issue, as Caitlin Clark described it earlier in the preseason, that she dealt with before. So it's a little bit of an interesting situation given that it was the same leg.
The official statement said she'd be out for at least 2 weeks. But behind that short announcement was a full-blown crisis.
It seems like his only experience was actually refereeing high school games. Now, I will put this out there, you guys. I don't want any of you guys hunting down the...
Once the replay started circulating, fans noticed something off. Hard hits, rough fouls, yet no whistles. Why did no one step in while Caitlin Clark was repeatedly taking hits from her opponent? Leaked footage from that night revealed her being shoved, bumped, and body-checked again and again. Even worse, it showed the referees turning a blind eye every single time.
Does Caitlin Clark need a championship to be considered one of the greats in women's college basketball history?
Yeah.
Almost overnight, the conversation shifted to what's really happening with WNBA officiating. At the center of the storm is a referee now reportedly facing suspension pending an internal review. Sources say the official failed to enforce even the most basic foul calls, allowing overly physical play that many believe set the stage for Clark's injury. A few more unchecked hits, and it could have been career-ending. Some are even questioning whether this was intentional.
All of it can change. If this injury does anything, it should be a wake-up call to the WNBA, the Players Association, the team owners, that just like that, all this fanfare, all this interest, all this newfound attention on the league can disappear.
While the league hasn't officially named anyone, most fans have already drawn their own conclusions. The footage speaks for itself. The referee allowed the hits to pile up and showed little concern. The WNBA's silence is only fueling the fire. So far, there's been no real effort to clarify their stance or take accountability. But here's where things get even messier. Some fans and analysts aren't just blaming bad officiating. They're asking a bigger, uglier question. Was this part of a larger agenda?
And pro 6, 7, 8 threes made.
Oh, man.
For months, there's been an undercurrent in WNBA discussions. Not everyone has welcomed Caitlin Clark's sudden rise. Practically overnight, the straight, white guard from Iowa became the face of the league. Sold-out jerseys, record-breaking viewership, her name was tied to it all. But for some players and fans, it felt like the WNBA was spotlighting one story at the expense of many others, particularly black players who had carried the league for years without the same mainstream recognition.
The WNBA finals were actually rigged because Kathy Engelbert was also wearing a dress that had the New York City skyline on it, so there was just a bunch of things that seemed kind of fishy.
Behind the scenes, there was clear resentment and frustration, along with more than a few pointed remarks about how the media crowned Clark while overlooking everyone else.
Like the Chicago Sky to the, United Arena? You're screwed. You're done. You're cooked. Nobody is going to show.
So when Clark started getting roughed up on the court, hard screens, elbows, body checks, and the referees let it all slide, people noticed. Maybe the league thought it was a way to humble her, but they clearly didn't anticipate the backlash from her fans. The impact of Clark's injury was immediate and severe. Ticket sales for upcoming Fever games stalled. What had been the hottest ticket in town suddenly felt like just another game. Sections that were once sold out had turned into ghost rows.
We're told that Clark was not seen in the open portion of practice by reporters who are on the ground there, so that's something we'll keep an eye on too as she makes her way.
Merchandise sales, jerseys, shirts, hats, all dropped sharply, and with them, the WNBA's revenue. The Fever, a team that had been living a dream ever since Caitlin arrived, began to stumble. Without her on the court, the spark was gone, and it showed. Even with a 2-week break ahead, the team looked shaken and uncertain. Ever since Clark's injury, the momentum has vanished.
Was a year of unprecedented growth in viewership in the WNBA, a substantial amount of which can be attributed to Caitlin Clark, who took the basketball world by storm after an all-time.
But fans weren't having it. Online, hashtags like Justice for Clark and Fix the WNBA trended for days. The outrage wasn't just about one player, it was about how her injury exposed the league's deeper flaws. And then it got worse. Even while sidelined, Clark wasn't out of the spotlight. At the Fever's next game, the WNBA reportedly tried to stage manage her presence, bringing her courtside to coach, her teammates, and project unity, as if to show she held no blame.
Or one of these visiting cities, paying all this money, paying up for tickets, and at the end of the day, deciding to not go. All right?
But her absence was impossible to ignore. Without Clark, the WNBA felt different, flatter, quieter, like a concert where the headliner suddenly cancels mid-tour. Many believe the league brought her courtside mainly for PR, hoping to soften the backlash after losing millions in the wake of her injury. Fans, however, were quick to pin the blame on poor officiating and league mismanagement. From the WNBA's perspective, though, the move made sense. They had bet big on this season being a turning point, record ratings, viral highlights, and long-awaited mainstream relevance. And for a while it worked. Clark wasn't just excelling on the court, she was redefining what was possible. She drew in people who had never watched women's basketball before. She brought energy, new fans, and most importantly, revenue.
You need Caitlin Clark out there. She does so much for you, and we're just looking at the playmaking side of things. What about factoring in the...
The problem with building everything around one star is that when she goes down, the whole structure starts to shake. Now, with the league facing scrutiny over officiating, mounting fan outrage, and plunging sales, it's clear that Caitlin Clark was the engine driving the momentum. Without her, the WNBA surge is stalling. Fans who bought tickets, some even traveling just to see her, are now reselling them or skipping games entirely. Frustration is spilling over, and the drop in ticket sales makes it impossible to ignore.
Don't want to see her come back at 80%, 70%. She's experiencing the type of defense that no other player in the WNBA experiences. They're triple teaming her every single.
The suspension of the referee at the center of the Clark incident might calm some fans for now, giving the appearance that the league is taking action. But the deeper problems remain. If the WNBA can't protect its biggest stars, if it can't guarantee even basic player safety, how can it expect fans to stay invested? How can it convince networks to pay for broadcast rights or justify higher salaries and bigger endorsements? Right now, the league stands at a dangerous crossroads. One wrong move could undo all the progress it's made over the past year. And the truth is, the WNBA seems uncertain, scrambling to hold things together. As for Clark, her return timeline is still up in the air. That initial 2-week estimate was never a promise, just the first checkpoint.
Like, this league is already kind of failing. This league is already going downhill, even while having a golden goose like Caitlin Clark. If she were to leave after everybody saw what happens when you finally get a player who's really good, nobody's going to come back to this league.
Insiders say the Fever will likely be cautious, not risking a long-term setback by rushing Clark back too soon. Others believe Clark herself may push for an early return, driven by the backlash and the sense that the league needs her more than ever. But one thing is certain. When she does come back, it won't just be a return, it'll be a statement. And for the WNBA, it will be a moment of truth. The league now faces two paths. It can carry on with business as usual, suspend a referee, wait for the headlines to fade, and hope Clark's return papers over the cracks. But that risks millions in lost revenue over the next few games, not to mention disastrous PR. It would make the league look like it doesn't even care about protecting its own players.
They're a part of it. Again, I get it. It sucks.
Yeah.
If you bought a ticket to see somebody and they're hurt, I get it. That is like a big bummer. But no, you would never say that about men's sports.
Letting one referee go won't change much. It won't suddenly make the WNBA look like the good guys. The harder path, and the necessary one, is admitting the truth. The league needs real change. But that's a step the WNBA seems unwilling to take, with so much riding on this season's success, with or without Caitlin. Many argue that player protection should be priority number one. It's one thing to market physical play as gritty, old-school basketball. It's another to let your biggest star take repeated hits without consequence. This isn't the NBA of the 90s. The WNBA can't afford to sacrifice its stars just to project toughness.